Welcome to the Jeff Crilley Show. And now, here's Jeff Crilley.
Welcome back to the Jeff Crilley Show. I'm always looking for interesting people to interview, and I was at a networking event earlier this week, and they took a picture of me on an iPad as I came in, and by the time I walked another 100 feet into the main area where people were socializing, there was my picture up on the screens. It was very impressive, and I felt a revolutionizing way to engage people. So my next guest on the Jeff Crilley Show is Pawan Jaggi. He is the CEO and founder of Speetra Incorporated. That's a Dallas-based company that is redefining how organizations engage with customers and employees. Pawan, welcome to the Jeff Crilley Show.
I appreciate you having me here.
Okay, so talk about your history. I know you've been in technology for some time now, but where did the idea for Speetra come from?
So about 4 years ago, we started Speetra, and actually we didn't start in the engagement space. We started in the HR space and put together a very successful platform based on some speech algorithms. And it was an assessment platform and ended up selling a lot of assessments, about 400,000 assessments completed. And about 2 years ago, we were trying to figure out what is next. And it was kind of serendipity that me and my family had gone on a cruise and came back from the cruise, and 2 days later we get this email from the cruise lines to fill out a survey. And we'd had a pretty decent experience, so we thought I should fill that out. And as I was starting to fill that out, it took me about 10 minutes, and there were a lot of repetition of questions. There was a lot of questions that I felt were inappropriate. And after spending about 10 minutes in that survey and not being very happy with what was being asked, the questions actually turned into what is my income and what is my race, and I felt that this is a broken process. And as I started to dig deeper and deeper into the marketplace, I found that this is kind of a status quo in large enterprises. This is how communication happens. And engagement is really defined as a way the brand connects with individuals, with their customers and employees. So I felt that the data collection process is broken, and that's the first thing that we could solve. And then we were sitting on the technology to actually analyze text and spoken comments. And that was how the whole idea came together, that shouldn't we go out and put something different that can actually change the way you connect, the brands connect with their employees and customers.
So we were talking off air about the possibilities here, and you told me that you recently did an event with tens of thousands of people. Describe that event and the way that you engaged the visitors to this event.
Right. So we have done lots. I mean, the events happens to be one of our verticals, and we've done events anywhere from 100 people all the way up to 25,000 people. And the idea there is that at any event, the engagement process should begin at the time the person enters the event. And I personally feel that an app download is not, no one should ask the customers to actually give real estate and download apps. It's not needed. Technology can actually solve that problem, and we've actually, in fact, solved it. So the process starts when the attendee comes in, and so we had an opportunity very recently. We've done several events. We do work for Dallas Business Journal, all major events in Dallas. And this very large event that just recently happened is where we introduced the concept of taking pictures and creating photo collages on a big screen.
Wow.
And for people to be able to take pictures of those photo collages and send it on social media. And then once that kind of an activity takes place, it is much easier to actually delight your customers and then ask for a sentiment and feedback. And it all kind of works out, because otherwise it sort of feels like a transaction.
Sure.
If you walk up to a customer and say, "Tell me how you feel about my services."
So if a conference was engaging you to add some energy to something that they were doing, one of the things that could happen is their attendees have their smartphone, and during an event, they're being asked a question that they can reply to on their smartphone?
Yeah, let me give you some specific examples. So very recently in one of the events, we actually had about 400 people sitting inside the event, and the customer had asked us to send a campaign around a question. They wanted to ask a question to all 400 people that when are we going to have our next women president? And the choices were this year, this coming year, 2020, and then a couple of more choices, and never in my lifetime.
Right.
And we were able to send that campaign to all 400 people, get the responses in about 2 minutes from that, and another 2 minutes later, all of the responses, the results were on the large screen in front of everybody. So real-time engagement, I feel, is very important, both in events and in other markets, and our ability to actually collect that data in real time and analyze that data in real time is crucial to the success of an event.
Absolutely. And it's not just entertaining. It's that information is really powerful, isn't it? So for a company, let's talk a little bit about engaging employees. What kind of services do you offer companies who want to really monitor mood or sentiment of their own employees?
So today, the way it's done primarily in very large companies, and I'm talking about Fortune 500 companies, they all send what I call a climate survey at the end of the year. And I feel that that is a broken process. I've been part of big companies and small companies, and have had a lot of employees in my organization. It just feels that if you get a survey which you have to fill out, and it takes you about 45 minutes to an hour, a lot of those questions are strongly disagree, agree type of questions, that I would just run through it because I have to get it done.
Right.
And I think the industry needs to move away from that type of a climate survey. So what we believe in is pulse checks, and that's why we called our product, the platform is called Pulse M.
Okay.
The idea of pulse checks is simple, that you should be able to connect with your employee on a fairly regular basis. It could be every 15 days, it could be every 30 days, but it should not take more than 30 seconds. It should be fast, it should be natural, and it should be trendy. And what I mean by natural is that if the employee wants to speak, they should be allowed to speak, because what speech gives you is much more than what was said. You know who said it, what was said, and how did they say it. And I believe how has it has a lot of hidden information inside, that emotion, that how is a person truly feeling. And if all of that can be done in about 30 seconds and done more regularly, that's a much better approach than sending an annual climate survey. So those are some of the things that we're bringing in terms of employee engagement in the marketplace.
Well, something that I just saw, which was, I think, pretty cool, is my last guest was Tammy Stifler, and we were posing for pictures during the break, and Pawan said, hey, if you really want feedback from your consumers in real time, we could help you with that. So paint that picture. How would that work at the State Fair of Texas?
Very simple, and simplicity is king in technology, and I feel that technology should be unseen. Chris Lehman said that technology should be ubiquitous, necessary, and invisible. That's how successful technologies are built. So at a big trade fair where Tammy has a booth, let's say that the customers are coming in, and she does $500,000 worth of business. So I assume that a lot of people are going to be coming in over that 25-day period.
Right.
Well, we would put a little poster that says, please text this code to this telephone number. Mm-hmm. And as soon as there may be an incentive of some kind that we could create for them to do it.
Sure.
Because it is participation that we're looking for. It is engagement. It's not a transaction. So if we delight them, if we come up with this plan correctly, it works. So they text this code to a telephone number, and immediately they get something on their mobile phone. It takes them 15 seconds to respond and say, this is how they felt about this product that and then they can move on.
Awesome.
We're living in a day of millennials. 80 million millennials are there, and next year spending by millennials is going to outpace what baby boomers are spending. And so I don't necessarily believe that it's only millennials who will use our technology, but I feel that millennials are going to play a pretty big role in this. And this is how engagement needs to happen. It needs to happen fast.
I think it's fascinating, and not to embarrass you, but I see you as kind of a Steve Jobs. I mean, Steve Jobs saw the telephone, and he said that the phone can do so much more. And when the iPhone came along, suddenly you have photographs and you have so many, iTunes. You have so many different things you can do with a phone now. And, oh, by the way, the phone actually makes phone calls. I think you're taking this digital interaction that we're doing and putting it on steroids. I really applaud you.
That's a huge comparison that you made. So I'm not sure that I would want to compare myself to Steve Jobs. But here's the thing, that if we engage with people properly, if they give them respect, if we're non-intrusive on their time, we secure their information, we make them feel comfortable. And on top of that, the brand that is associating with us, who's our customer, if we can actually analyze that information for actionable insights in almost real time. Imagine if I could go to Tammy and on a daily basis, I could give her a report at the end of the day that this is today's report on how people felt about your system or your products and services. And perhaps there were a few people who were not so happy with certain things, and here are the corrective actions that you can make tomorrow.
Brilliant.
Wouldn't that be powerful? And that's the whole purpose of, that's what I call engagement. And it goes much beyond just capturing customers' feedback. It involves creating a relationship, moving away from transactions.
Beautiful. Okay, so how can people get a hold of you?
Very easy. Pulsem.me is our website. I'm the founder and CEO of Speetra, Inc. We have a website for Speetra.com and Pulsem.me. They can go on the website, contact me. We are a local Dallas company, although we have customers all over the world now. So this is a proven concept. Amazing. It's not something that we have spent the last 2 years developing the technology. Next 2 years are going to be very big for us. We're looking forward to somewhat of an inflection point coming up very soon. But we have proven this technology for major brands. We've got Frito-Lay, we've got Yahoo.
Wow. Lots
of big-name customers who have been able to utilize this technology and very successfully use this technology.
Thank you so much for being a guest on the Jeff Crilley Show.
I appreciate you having me here, Jeff.
Absolutely. When we come back, she's been called a female Dr. Oz. Dr. Perry Godsey, she joins us to answer some of the questions that you may be too afraid to ask.